in the House of Representatives, we voted by suspension of the rules what's called a continuing resolution to continue the funding of government at its current levels. Now, that's just another way in D.C. speak of saying we aren't doing our job to pass appropriations bills through what we call regular order, the way that you would expect us to do it, send it to the Senate, negotiate back and forth, and then take that and do our job to do the work of the people and how we spend their money. Last year, we set out to change the way the House works. The gentleman from Arizona knows. And we made some progress, actually. I had hope. We had moved it in the right direction. We passed 10 appropriations of 12 out of committee. We had 2 ready to go. 7 we passed off the floor of the House. We passed them not at the level I would prefer, a lower level, but we did pass them at the agreed upon level last year under the FRA, the debt deal that capped spending. Again, should have capped it a lot lower. It represented a mere 1% cut from last year's bloated level of spending under Speaker Nancy Pelosi, passed at the 11th hour in December of 2022. Every member of the Republican conference here today, except for 2, opposed that bill, voted against that omnibus spending bill, spoke out against it, put out press releases against it, said that it was enormously expensive, adding up to our debt, passing policies we didn't agree on, done at the 11th hour right before Christmas. Massive opposition. Only 2 in this chamber on the Republican side voted for it. Fast forward, last year, deal is made, caps are put in place. We get our appropriations bills sent over to the Senate, trying to do it at those levels, even though it's a mere just 1% cut. I'd like to see a 10% or 20% cut. We wanted to get to pre-COVID spending levels. But this body, bipartisan basis, majority of Republicans, majority of Democrats, sent to the Senate a debt deal lifting the debt $4 trillion. For that, we were supposed to get a 1% cut. But then there was something in this town called side deals. Does that sound swampy? It is. There were side deals, agreements, saying, no, that won't be the real deal. You know how I know that? Because the Democrat ranking member on the Appropriations Committee appeared before the Rules Committee about a month ago and said, well, I voted against the FRA, the debt deal, because the side deals weren't written in it. Now, she only admitted that after she had said, you're not following the law. I said, well, where in the law are the side deals? Oh, well, they're not in the law. And in fact, in her public statement last year, she voted against it and said, I voted against it because they weren't in the law. Yet, today, Senate Democrats, House Republicans are negotiating spending at the level of not the caps, but the caps plus the side deals. That is to say, in plain English, Pelosi spending levels plus another $30 to $40 billion. That's what's happening in the swamp. But they couldn't get it done. They couldn't get it done fast enough. So here we are again after we've twice extended Nancy Pelosi's spending levels without getting the appropriations bills done, not getting our job done, not getting the work finished. And we are today, we just agreed, the Senate sent over here, we passed another continuing resolution to fund government at Nancy Pelosi's levels. Now, it's not just the debt. It's not just the spending. It's not just the fact that we're $34 trillion in debt. It's what we're funding. It's the policies we're continuing. That's the problem. Just a few. The continuing resolution that we just voted for, a near perfect divide down the Republican conference. It's 107 to 106. House leadership had to scurry around to whip up the votes to ensure a majority of Republicans supported this terrible bill. What did we fund? Again, spending at the level of $1.6 something trillion, Nancy Pelosi's levels, we funded Biden's border crisis, while we're currently trying to impeach the Secretary of Homeland Security for failing to secure the border, ignoring his duty to maintain operational control, endangering Americans, fentanyl pouring in, empowering China, empowering cartels, lied to us under oath, we're giving him the money. Oh, let's impeach him, but let's keep giving him the money. Weaponized IRS and Internal Revenue Service targeting the American people. A weaponized Department of Justice and FBI that targeted Scott Smith in Loudoun County and Mark Houck and Dad in Philadelphia. Give them the money. Build them a brand new headquarters. Give them the money. EPA, electric vehicle mandates. We are piling up electric vehicles on the lots of car dealerships around the country. We have a mandate going into a place to mandate 2/3 of all vehicles will be EVs by 2032, which will massively create inflation for the American people, make goods and services more expensive, make getting cars more difficult. The average electric vehicle is about $16,000 more expensive. And where the heck are you going to charge it? Governor of California actually told people with EVs that recently, please don't plug in your EVs between the hours of 4 and 8 o'clock. What are you supposed to do if you can't take your car to go do your job? EPA rules killing coal and natural gas power plants. China's got 1,100 coal-fired plants. We have 250. We're building none. They're building 2 a week. We're going to kill our own power supply chasing unicorn energy policies. But guess what? We're funding it. Every Republican in this chamber who campaigns against these things just voted today to fund it. The World Health Organization. Anybody think that's doing us any good besides getting us involved with anti-American sovereignty and undermining our own ability to maintain health policy and our national security? We're funding it. We're funding the pro-China, anti-Israel United Human Rights Council, United Nations Human Rights Council. We're funding UNRWA, through which dollars flow to the Palestinians, that is Hamas, that is the enemies of Israel. So we're going around saying we stand with Israel. How many Republicans wear the little pins? We stand with Israel. They're funding opposition to Israel. ATF rule banning pistol braces. Unconstitutional, unlawful, executive tyranny. Not getting constitutional, congressional approval. We're funding it. Over here, we're funding the Department of Education student loan scam. Supreme Court says you can't do that. Administration does it anyway, lawlessly. We're saying, here you go. Here's more money. We're funding the CDC, the NIH, the FDA. No accountability for COVID tyranny. No restrictions. We're funding the Department of Veterans Affairs vaccine mandate. I introduced legislation today to say we shouldn't do that. We should get rid of that mandate. We're funding it. We're funding the chief diversity officers, DEI, critical race theory at the Pentagon and throughout the federal government. Pentagon's abortion travel fund, transgender surgeries at the Pentagon, funding sex changes. I could go on and on the number of things that we are funding. But I want to be mindful of my colleagues' time, and I just want to say this. And I want to end going back to the border crisis, because it is the number one thing that galls me that Republicans complain about and continue to fund. Our borders are wide open. Our people are in danger. It undermines our national security. Texas, my friend from Arizona, we take it on the chin. We're spending the money to do what the federal government is supposed to do. Our people are getting absolutely decimated. Ranchers are getting killed. Livestock are getting out. Children are dying from fentanyl. Cops are having to go do the job of the feds. Migrants are dying in the river in the Rio Grande, dying along the border in Arizona. And we're funding it. I just don't understand the logic of my colleagues campaigning against these things when I'll close with this. Federalist 58, the founders gave us the power of the purse in the House chamber to stop an out-of-control executive branch. We should dang well use it.